The Deep Dive, Liberty Safe Security, Privacy, and the FBI Backdoor Controversy.
In this deep dive, we explore the history and sudden cultural flashpoints surrounding Liberty Safe, one of America's most prominent gun-safe manufacturers. From its humble 1988 beginnings in a single Utah storage unit to a White House Made in America showcase, we unpack how the company built a physical security empire. Then we examine the August 2023 FBI backdoor access controversy involving a January 6 warrant that sparked massive online backlash and nationwide boycott threats. Whether you're interested in home security, gun safes, consumer privacy, or navigating modern brand crises, this deep dive provides an impartial, fact-based look at the collision between physical property and digital access codes.
Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to a brand new deep dive.
Glad to be here. We have quite the story today.
We really do. Today we are looking at a story that perfectly captures, well, one of the most unexpected dilemmas of the modern age, I'd say.
Yeah, the ultimate intersection of home security and consumer privacy and modern data compliance.
Right. And it all revolves around something you probably think of as the most old-school analog product imaginable. A heavy, impenetrable steel box.
Specifically, we're exploring the history and the very sudden, a very intense cultural flashpoint surrounding a company called Liberty Safe.
Yeah, if you search for gun safes or high-end home security, they are one of America's most prominent manufacturers.
Absolutely.
So our mission today for you listening is to look at how a company built entirely on the ultimate promise of physical security.
A company that practically cornered the market on keeping people's valuables locked away from the outside world.
Exactly. How they suddenly found themselves right at the center of a massive, politically charged FBI backdoor controversy.
It really is a fascinating paradox.
Yeah.
And we are drawing from a comprehensive Wikipedia article today that details the company's entire history.
Their business model and obviously the recent controversies that just completely upended their public image.
Right. For you listening, whether you are actively out there shopping for home security, or maybe you're prepping for a business case study on modern brand crises,
or, honestly, if you just love exploring how traditional physical property is colliding with digital access codes, this is an incredible story.
it is a masterclass in what happens when the absolute rigidness of American steel meets the fluid, highly complex reality of the digital age.
And it is a collision of two worlds that, most people simply never expected to overlap.
No, of course not.
You don't look at a 1,000-pound vault and think about data privacy.
You really don't.
So to truly understand the sheer scale of the controversy that hit them,
Yeah.
you first have to understand the sheer scale of the company itself.
Because Liberty Safe isn't just some niche boutique brand.
No, not at all. But they did start incredibly small.
Very small.
The company was founded back in 1988 by a man named Jay Crosby. And when I say they had humble beginnings, operations literally started out of a single storage unit.
Which is the classic American entrepreneurial dream. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
But the trajectory of that growth is what's so staggering. We aren't just talking about a successful local business anymore. Fast forward from that 1988 storage unit to today, and Liberty Safe operates out of a massive 205,000 square foot facility.
205,000.
Located in Payson, Utah. They employ over 350 people.
Wow.
And just to give you a real tangible sense of the manufacturing muscle we are talking about here, they have the capacity to produce more than 500 safes every single day.
500 a day. I want to just pause on that number because we aren't talking about a factory churning out T-shirts or coffee mugs or, plastic toys.
No, these are massive, incredibly heavy, steel-reinforced security boxes.
Some of these things weigh as much as a small car.
Yeah, they do.
The logistics of sourcing that much steel, fabricating it, painting it, assembling the locking mechanisms.
And then physically moving 500 of these behemoths off the line and onto shipping trucks on a daily basis.
It's mind-blowing. And by the time they hit their 30-year mark around 2018, they reported selling over 2 million safes.
That is a massive footprint.
Yeah, they are sitting in millions of American homes and businesses right now. But here's the thing that really surprised me.
What's that?
You listening, you might actually own a Liberty Safe right now and not even know it.
It's highly likely, actually.
Yeah.
Because their market reach extends far, far beyond just the nameplate that says Liberty Safe.
Right. They manufacture and market a huge variety of products. Gun safes, home safes, commercial depository safes, for businesses, dedicated fire safes.
And they do this under several different brand umbrellas that they own outright.
Like what?
Well, they produce the national security line, the Centurion Freedom Security Fat Boy, and even the Colt brand of safes.
Okay, so they own all those.
They do,
Yeah.
but that is only half of their market strategy.
Right, because they're also the secret engine behind some of the biggest private label brands in the outdoor and hardware space.
But a classic white label strategy.
Let's say you go to a major outdoor retailer. You walk in, you browse the aisles, and you decide to buy a Cabela's branded safe or a Remington safe.
Or maybe you go to an agricultural supplier and buy a heavy-duty green John Deere safe.
Exactly. You think you are buying from those specific companies, but you are actually buying a product manufactured entirely by Liberty Safe in that Utah facility.
It's a brilliant move from a business perspective. By white labeling, they essentially create the illusion of choice in the marketplace.
A consumer might compare a Centurion safe against a Cabela's safe, trying to decide which company to trust.
Completely unaware that both products rolled off the exact same assembly line.
Right.
Through this strategy, they have essentially woven themselves into the absolute fabric of American physical security.
They aren't just a player in the market. In many ways, they are the market.
They really are.
But a company doesn't reach that level of market dominance just by being good at logistics.
No, definitely not.
You don't sell millions of units and secure highly lucrative manufacturing contracts with massive legacy brands like John Deere and Remington without building a profound architecture of trust.
And when you're selling security, trust is the only currency that actually matters.
So to understand why the 2023 controversy was so devastating, we have to look at what Liberty Safe was actually promising their customers.
It wasn't just thick steel.
Right. It was heavily standardized, scientifically tested guarantees.
Precisely. The product promise is fundamentally about disaster mitigation.
Okay.
According to our source material, Liberty Safe bases their fire testing on standards developed by the U.S. Department of Commerce National Institute of Standards and Technology.
Which is usually just referred to as NIST, right?
Correct, NIST. And they also heavily market their UL-rated safes.
And for anyone listening who doesn't spend their weekends reading industrial hardware specifications, we should probably break down what UL-rated actually means.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Because it's crucial to the trust aspect.
Yeah, what does it mean?
UL stands for Underwriters Laboratories. They're essentially the global gold standard for independent third-party safety testing.
So it's not just the company saying, hey, this is safe.
Exactly. When a product is UL rated, it means it hasn't just been tested by the company's own marketing department in a controlled, friendly environment.
Right.
It means an independent lab has actively tried to destroy it.
Which is kind of wild to picture.
It is. For safes, UL testing involves subjecting the unit to extreme sustained heat in massive furnaces.
Wow.
Sometimes dropping them from heights to simulate falling through the floor of a burning building.
Literally dropping them.
Yes. And having professionals attack them with crowbars, drills, and torches for a set amount of time.
So it is brutal, rigorous testing.
Extremely rigorous.
So when a consumer sees that UL rating and that NIST standard, they are fundamentally buying a hedge against absolute catastrophe.
Well, they want the peace of mind knowing that if the absolute worst happens...
Right, if their entire home burns to the ground or if a highly motivated burglar gets inside.
Their most important documents, their family heirlooms or their firearms, will survive untouched.
And Liberty Safe backed up those scientific tests with a massive consumer promise, a free, transferable lifetime warranty on their UL-rated safes.
That warranty is a massive financial liability for a company to take on, which shows you how confident they are in the product.
Absolutely. It promises a complete replacement of the safe in the event of a fire or an attempted break-in.
Think about that. If someone takes a sledgehammer and a blowtorch to your safe, destroys the outside but fails to get in.
Liberty Safe's policy is essentially, we've got you covered, we will ship you a brand new one.
It's an incredible commitment.
It really is. And all of the sheer manufacturing scale, the rigorous testing, the lifetime warranties, the deep consumer trust.
It all culminated in a very high-profile moment of recognition for the company.
Yeah, in July of 2018, Liberty Safe was invited to the White House.
This was for a highly publicized Made in America event.
The company's CEO at the time, Steve Allred, and their vice president of sales, Justin Buck, both attended.
And they didn't just show up to shake hands. They brought their absolute top-of-the-line model to showcase at the White House.
It is a model appropriately named the Presidential 50.
I want you to really picture the psychology at play here for the consumer.
Okay, let's think about that.
You have a premium heavyweight safe called the Presidential 50. It's manufactured by a company that was literally invited to the White House to serve as the poster child for American manufacturing and ruggedness.
When a customer buys that safe, they aren't just buying a metal box to hold their passports.
They are purchasing an absolute guarantee of impregnability.
They are buying the idea of absolute sovereignty over a small footprint of space in their home.
Exactly. They believe they possess an isolated, impenetrable fortress.
And crucially, they believe they hold the only key to that fortress.
Right, this psychological contract between the safe manufacturer and the consumer is that once the safe is delivered and the combination is set, the manufacturer is out of the equation.
It is yours and yours alone.
Which is exactly why late summer of 2023 was such an earthquake for the company.
Yeah, because practically overnight, that entire perception, the idea of total isolated ownership, was completely shattered.
It happened so fast.
On August 30, 2023, the FBI contacted Liberty Safe.
They were requesting an access code to a safe belonging to a resident of Arkansas.
The FBI had a valid warrant to search this individual's property.
And that warrant was related to the January 6th United States Capitol attack.
Now we need to stop right here for a second. This specific warrant being tied to the January 6th Capitol attack makes this an incredibly heated topic.
It absolutely does.
And before we get into the weeds of how this played out, we need to be crystal clear with you listening.
We are looking at this strictly as a case study in data privacy, corporate compliance, and brand crisis.
We aren't taking any political sides here.
Not at all.
We are not endorsing any viewpoints left or right regarding the events of January 6th or the FBI's investigations.
Our goal is simply to look at the facts of how this unprecedented collision between physical security and digital access unfolded based purely on the source material.
Exactly. We are looking at the mechanics of the crisis, so let's look at those mechanics.
The FBI has a legal warrant. They contact the manufacturer in Utah, and they ask for a digital code to get into this Arkansas resident's safe.
First of all, how does a heavy steel safe even have a backdoor code?
That's a great question.
We need to explain this because I think a lot of people picture safes as purely mechanical, spinning a dial left, right, left.
That is the crux of the whole issue. While mechanical dial locks still exist, the industry has largely moved toward electronic keypad locks for sheer convenience.
Right. In a high-stress situation, like a home invasion, punching in a 6-digit code on a glowing keypad is much faster and easier than precisely spinning a mechanical dial in the dark.
But electronic locks introduce a new variable.
Which is?
What happens if the internal battery dies while the safe is locked? Or more commonly, what happens when a consumer simply forgets their combination?
Yeah, if you forget the combination to a purely mechanical safe. You basically have to hire a highly specialized locksmith to come out and literally drill through the steel to destroy the lock.
Which completely ruins the safe.
Exactly.
So to prevent that nightmare scenario for their customers, manufacturers of electronic locks build in a factory reset code.
Or a master override code?
Right, that is tied to the specific serial number of that electronic lock.
Okay, so it is fundamentally designed as a customer service feature.
Yes. If you forget your code, you call the company, prove you own the safe, give them the serial number, and they give you the override code so you can access your own belongings.
It's just like clicking forgot password on your email account.
Exactly like that.
It's meant to be helpful, but it also means that by definition, the manufacturer maintains a database of keys to every single safe they sell.
It's like finding out your house has a back door, and the builder secretly kept a copy of that key just in case you ever locked yourself out.
Wow, that's a perfect way to put it. Even if the builder has the best intentions, just knowing that key exists out in the world fundamentally changes how secure you feel in that house.
It really does. And that brings us to the company's massive dilemma on August 30th.
Liberty Safe is presented with a valid FBI warrant. What do they do?
To understand their actions, we have to look at the public statement they released on their official Twitter account on September 6th.
Which was a few days after the incident actually happened and rumors were starting to swirl online.
Right. And in that statement, they detailed their protocol very carefully.
They didn't just hand the code over because someone on the phone asked nicely.
First, they stated that they received formal proof of a valid search warrant from the FBI.
They emphasized that it was only after verifying the legal validity of that warrant that they provided the access code to law enforcement.
I will play devil's advocate here for a moment and look at it from the corporate side.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a remarkably tough line to walk. On one hand, you have a valid federal warrant.
Right.
Most corporate legal departments will tell you that defying a valid search warrant is a quick way to find your own company under legal scrutiny for obstruction.
That makes sense. Furthermore, Liberty Safe explicitly stated they had no prior knowledge of any of the details surrounding the investigation at the time they handed over the code.
They weren't judging the merits of the case. They were simply complying with a lawful order that granted authorities access to that specific property.
But they also knew how bad this would look to their
Oh
customers,
yeah, they definitely knew.
which is why they used that same Twitter statement to fiercely defend their track record on consumer privacy.
They heavily emphasize that they are devoted to protecting the personal property and the Second Amendment rights of their customers.
They did. They pointed out that they have repeatedly denied requests for access codes in the past when authorities did not provide the proper legal documentation.
They wanted to make it clear that they don't just hand out master codes to anyone who asks. It requires a judge's signature.
They stated they regularly update their policies to ensure compliance with federal and state law while maintaining reasonable consumer privacy protections within the confines of that law.
But honestly,
The public did not care about the legal nuance.
not even a little bit.
They didn't care about the corporate legal department's obligation to comply with a warrant.
No. When the general public, and specifically the core demographic of safe owners, learned that Liberty Safe actually maintained a database of backdoor access codes,
The fallout was absolute chaos.
the backlash was immediate and it was fierce.
It was a complete shock to the system for their consumer base.
The revelation that the manufacturer maintained a master digital key fundamentally altered the relationship between the buyer and the product.
As we discussed earlier, people thought they were buying an isolated fortress.
To realize it was actually a device that the company still had a level of remote access to, even if that access was just a code kept on a server in Utah.
It was a profound psychological breach of trust.
Absolutely.
Our source points to an article from the Hindustan Times that tracked the online reaction, and the comparisons were brutal.
Yeah, right-wing commentators and safe owners began heavily comparing Liberty Safe to Bud Light.
And that is a very specific, very intentional comparison.
Bud Light had just gone through its own massive, highly publicized brand crisis and boycotts earlier that same year.
Where a core demographic felt completely alienated by the brand's actions.
By invoking Bud Light, the critics were signaling that this wasn't just a minor customer service complaint. This was a fundamental betrayal of the brand's core identity.
The article noted that Liberty Safe was rapidly being branded online as an enemy to gun owners.
There were immediate widespread threats of nationwide boycotts.
People were posting videos online saying they were going to get rid of their Liberty Safes. It was a PR nightmare of epic proportions.
If we step back and look at the bigger picture, the intensity of this backlash makes perfect sense.
How so?
Safe owners weren't expecting Silicon Valley data rules to apply to a 1,000-pound box of American steel.
Right, when you buy an iPhone, you generally understand that Apple handles encryption and data compliance.
And there is an ongoing relationship with the manufacturer through software updates and iCloud.
But a safe is supposed to be dumb hardware. It's just metal and a lock.
Exactly. You don't expect a terms of service agreement for a heavy metal box.
You expect that once it's in your basement, the transaction is over.
But this incident proved that in the modern era, if a product has a digital component, like an electronic keypad, it is tethered to the modern world of data-compliant subpoenas and backdoor access.
It shattered the illusion of total isolation.
It did. For decades, consumers believed that buying a physical safe meant acquiring a space where they were the sole, unquestioned authority,
To suddenly realize that the manufacturer held a master digital key all along.
and that this key could be turned over to third parties with a legal warrant.
It was profoundly jarring. It transformed the safe from a piece of totally independent hardware into a modern tech device.
And that is a terrifying transition for a consumer base that explicitly buys your product to disconnect from the grid.
So what does this all mean for us? We started today by looking at what is fundamentally a true American success story.
A guy in a single storage unit in 1988 builds a company that grows into a 205,000 square foot juggernaut.
They pump out 500 safes a day. They sell over 2 million units. They secretly manufacture for massive brands like John Deere.
And they get invited to the White House to showcase the absolute pinnacle of American manufacturing and physical security.
And yet all of those decades of built-up consumer trust, all the rigorous NIST fire testing the UL ratings, the lifetime replacement warranties.
All of it was challenged in a single day.
Not because their steel failed or because a fire melted their products.
But because of the incredibly complex realities of legal compliance and digital access in the modern world.
The controversy proved that even the heaviest, most formidable physical security in the world can be bypassed instantly by a digital code kept on a server.
It is a wild reminder that the tools we use to protect our privacy are often subject to rules, exceptions, and hidden backdoors that we might not fully understand.
Or even know exist until a massive story like this breaks. It completely redefines the concept of a safe.
It does, and this raises a deeply important, almost philosophical question, and it is one I want to leave you with today.
Let's hear.
We live in an era where our phones, our cars, our smart home systems, and now even our heaviest, most impenetrable steel boxes have manufacturer access codes built into them.
Yeah,
So what does true ownership and privacy actually look like anymore?
that's the real question.
If a third party holds a master key to your private property, even if they have strict policies and require legal warrants to use it, who is really in control of your security?
That is definitely something to chew on the next time you lock a door, set a passcode, or trust a company to keep your secrets safe.
It really is.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating, complicated, and sometimes invisible world of physical security and digital access. Keep questioning the world around you, and we will catch you on the next one.